Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs back in court today for a hearing in New York City. His attorneys asking a judge to overturn his conviction on 2 counts related to prostitution. The judge did not issue a ruling yet. Combs' sentencing hearing is expected to be held October 3rd. California's governor today criticized his own party, saying Democrats are missing opportunities to connect with the youth vote.
On stage at the Clinton Global Initiative Conference in New York, California Governor Gavin Newsom said Democrats have lost a critical voting bloc that once helped elect Clinton in the 1990s. Newsom saying it's hard for members of his own party to admit Democrats are avoiding the issue of the crisis of men and boys in the form of suicide rates and dropout rates.
Charlie Kirk's ability, what he was able to achieve in terms of organizing the campuses, he was able to produce and organize around that in a deeply meaningful way. And the Democratic Party was nowhere to be found on the issue.
Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Mortgage rates ticked up this week after dropping the past 4 weeks. The average rate on a 30-year fixed home loan rising to 6.3% from 6.26% last week. Sprout Organics is expanding a voluntary recall on some baby food pouches after routine sampling found they may contain elevated levels of lead. The 3.5-ounce packages of sweet potato, apple, and spinach were sold at Walgreens and independent retailers across 28 states and online. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Good afternoon. KVNU News time is now 4:05 as we're heading into For the People with Jason Williams, and I'm Will Feelright with a check of some of our top stories. Well, the Logan City School District announcing yesterday that Board Education President Larry Williams has formally submitted his resignation effective immediately. Now, Williams, a former career educator, served on the board since 2019, including 2 terms as its president. Now, during his tenure, the district saw enhanced employee compensation along with increased high school graduation rates. Now, in a press release, Williams said it had been an honor to serve the students, family, and staff, adding that he has witnessed tremendous growth in the district. Now, Vice President Frank Stewart will immediately fulfill the duties of president. The district stated that it's grateful for Larry's leadership, dedication, and service to the community. Meanwhile, an attorney from the defense team for accused murderer Corey Richins has been hired now to represent the suspect in the Utah Valley University assassination case. The Utah County Commission unanimously approved a contract for attorney Kathy Nestor. Now, the county is hiring Nestor as an outside defense attorney because the Utah Public Defender's Office said that it could not take the case. Now, Nestor will defend Tyler Robinson, who was accused in the September 10th assassination of Charlie Kirk at UVU. Robinson is scheduled to appear again in court Monday for a waiver hearing before 4th District Judge Tony Graff Jr. Now, Nestor, along with her business partner Wendy Lewis and Alex Ramos, were appointed to the high-profile Corey Richins case back in 2024. Richins, of course, is accused of poisoning her husband. And Utah First Lady Abby Cox recently received the 2025 Distinguished Service Award from her alma mater, Utah State University. USU gives the award to individuals who show an exceptional commitment to advancing human flourishing through their service. Cox, who graduated from USU in 1999 with a degree in special education, had based her Show Up initiative on her experiences as a special education teacher. Now, the Show Up initiative is a platform that promotes the expansion of Special Olympics unified sports while elevating Utah educators and supporting foster families. Now, while accepting the award this week, Cox asked the audience to remember a teacher who had made an impact in their lives, saying that you cannot underestimate the power of a teacher. She also emphasized the importance of being a lifelong learner and seeing things in different ways. Well, we're seeing a beautiful forecast through the rest of the afternoon as temperatures have been in the low 80s today. Tonight we'll drop into the mid-40s, then be back into the low 80s tomorrow for Friday to finish off the week, and then a few clouds coming in on Saturday. Then a chance of some showers possible on Sunday and cooler weather for next week. And it's Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance that brings you our weather on the 6s. He'll protect your vehicle with hassle-free care. He has access to multiple insurance carriers and will give you options. Get more information by visiting q1ins.com. And with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelwright. KVNU News Time is now 4:08, and more of KVNU's For the People show with Jason Williams. It's coming up next.
For over a decade, Roof Rescue has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We understand the value of your time. That's why we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day. With award-winning service, 100% guaranteed workmanship, and the best warranties in the industry, your watertight peace of mind is guaranteed. Call us today at 435-999-4268 or visit roofrescueusa.com and ask for the $250 off any roof replacement. Financing available? That's roofrescueusa.com.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com, and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Thursday, September 25th. I'm Jason Williams, out of studio today. So here on the show, we'll be revisiting some of the best conversations we've had a chance to bring you on the show over the last few weeks. And a lot of these conversations are still timely because these issues are ongoing. In fact, some of these you're going to want to put on your calendar, which gets us right into our first conversation. We had a chance recently to speak with former state representative and current co-chair of the Cache County Council formed Form of Government Committee, Jack Draxler. And he was recently appointed as an advisor to what's called the Form of Government Study Committee. I think I'm getting the name wrong there, but you get it. This was a committee formed by the Cache County Council to, as the name implies, study different forms of county government and report back to the council. And then the council may take that and through a vote, put it on the ballot for voters to take a look at and decide on as well. Or maybe nothing will come of this other than we know more about our current form of county government. Either way, they wanted to take a look. So we spoke with Damon Cann a couple of weeks ago, who presented on just his research on the costs, salary costs of different types of government. You can hear that conversation in our podcast. And today we are following this same line of thinking and the same study work, a different avenue with our good friend, former state lawmaker, and currently chair, I believe, of the committee, Jack Draxler. And Jack, I really appreciate you taking some time for us today. This is where we can kind of step away from the kind of the immediacy of a lot of the growth challenges here in Cache County. And as your committee has been tasked by the council, study different types of government and take a very broad view. But this still also kind of ties back into the immediacy of growth and challenges in Cache County. Are you feeling a little pressure?
Not too much pressure, but thank you for inviting me, Jason.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
It's just a process that was established by House Bill 356 that was passed in the last legislative session, which enabled counties to form a committee like ours to study the 4 forms of county government that are allowed by the Utah Constitution and evaluate them, get public comment on them, study them in depth, and then make a recommendation to the county council on whether or not we stay with the form of government we have, or if there's one of the other forms that seems to be a better approach, we advise the council to hold a referendum, an election, and see if the citizens want to go to that form of government. So it's been a great process. You mentioned Dr. Can. He's been a tremendous help.
He's a smart guy.
Andrew on the staff has been a tremendous help. And then the members of the committee are awesome guys. We have 3 mayors and the director of the health department and myself. And we're trying to be objective and fair and transparent and
Sure.
and just give it a fair due diligence, and then we'll see where we go when it comes to our recommendation. I mentioned to you just a minute ago that we don't want to drag this process out too long, but we do want to be thorough. And so the main thing I'm excited about today is to announce 3 public meetings that we're going to be holding.
I'm excited about this because this is an important part of the process, public education, right?
Yeah. One in Hiram, one in Logan, and one in Smithfield. Anybody in the county can go to any one of these. These will be publicized, but I really hope the public will turn out. It's not that glamorous of a subject.
Yeah.
And yet I've heard you say many times the level of government that has the greatest impact on our daily lives is local government. And people should be interested, I think, in examining these forms of government and helping to give input to the leadership as to which form of government they think is best.
Sure.
So that's what we hope to do in these meetings. We hope to educate a little bit because a lot of people don't immediately know what those 4 forms of government are.
Yeah.
Talk about those and then do some survey work and then listen. We just want to listen.
Sure.
And hear what the public has to say.
And this is, so you come at this with a unique, perspective of having served in the legislature and worked on a statewide budget and things like that. But it's interesting. You and I have talked before, but you're coming into this with no biases. You don't. Your time in the legislature didn't show you that necessarily one form of government was overall better than another.
Right.
But this is kind of getting ahead. Let me ask it this way. So the perspective you can supply for us here is, why do you think the legislature approved this? Why now? What's the driving motive there for the legislature?
I think there were a few counties in the state that were having a little bit of personality differences.
Sure.
And some struggles structurally with their form of government. And so I think the legislature said, let's give counties the option, if they want it, to set up a study committee to look at this, study and educate, and then see which form of government they would recommend to the council.
Sure.
As the best for that county. And as you know, there's no perfect form of government.
No.
None of the 4 is perfect. Each has its benefits and drawbacks. But I think
and you also can't say one's better or worse for rural versus urban.
Yeah.
Because there are all these different examples.
Yeah.
And like you said, pros and cons of each. That's been so interesting to learn.
And that's why it's good to do this on a county-by-county basis. And we hope to do our due diligence as a committee and then let the chips fall where they may.
Sure. And so the task of the committee is to research this, study it, and then report and invite public feedback on all of this. And then the council at that point will take it and decide if, whether to maybe put it on a ballot or something like that for voters to decide. But
or not.
Or not. Yeah, they may decide, look, all the evidence suggests this is probably the system that works best for us right now. We'll check back in 10 years or something like that. But I was just looking through the committee agenda from previous meetings, and y'all are covering a lot of ground. I mean, this hasn't been, just talking about little bits and pieces here and there. This has really been digging into everything from salary costs of different type of governments to even, ROI, for lack of a better word, for residents of a county on, services provided and things like that. Right. How do you go about doing this research? That seems tough in and of itself.
The first thing we did, Jason, was to educate ourselves so that we knew as committee members we fully understand the 4 forms of government allowed by the Constitution. Then we have conducted surveys. We first surveyed current and past elected officials in the county. Then we surveyed political leaders and community leaders in nearby jurisdictions like mayors and city administrators and people like that. We surveyed them.
Sure.
And then we surveyed the county employees because they're on the front lines every day with the jobs they have.
Oh, that makes sense.
And we're interested to hear what they have to say about forms of government. And then lastly, we're going to hold these public meetings and get feedback from the public, and that will include a survey for the public.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
When you have a political science professor helping you, you have tools that you might not normally have, and Professor Ken has really helped us in that regard. So that's the process, and then after all that is done, then we look for common threads among all those people, officials, employees, public. What are the common threads? What we know we're not going to get a unanimous thing there. Okay, this is the form of government we want.
Sure.
But
and you're not expecting that, right?
No, but I think there will be common threads that will come out that will pretty much give us an indication of where we would want to recommend to the county council.
Do you, with someone with some experience dealing with planning ahead at the legislative level on a much more complex level, a statewide level, do you are you seeing anything that has you thinking, okay, right now this might be good, but thinking ahead, planning ahead down the road, we may want to consider some changes? Are you seeing anything like that in your study so far? Or?
Well, we have to consider that. We have to consider actually the past, the present, and the future.
Sure.
We have to look at the past, how things worked, the present, how are things working, and the future, what will work best as our county grows and as things develop within Cache County.
And that's a big task.
Well, it is, and that's why we really need the public to turn out to these meetings. And at the appropriate time, I'll give you the time and place of each of those meetings.
Sure.
But we really, really would urge the public to come out. They can also come to our regular meetings, which are every 2 weeks, and they're on the county website when we're meeting. We always meet in the county historic courthouse.
Sure. 3 open houses are planned, and these are, you've kind of described them in a way that makes me think these aren't just people coming in and sitting down watching a presentation and going home. This is a conversation that you're hoping to spark.
Exactly.
Okay.
We will give a brief presentation on the 4 forms of government, and I will go over those with your listeners before we're finished here. But then we will simply listen to the public, let them comment, and hear what they have to say about these 4 forms. So if it's okay, can I give the dates and places?
Yeah, please do.
So the first public meeting is a week from tonight, Thursday, September 25th at 7 p.m. in the Hiram City Council chambers.
Okay.
The next meeting will be Thursday, October 16th at 7 p.m. in the Logan City Council chambers.
Okay.
And then the third one will be Thursday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. in the Smithfield City Council chambers.
Wow.
And anybody from anywhere in the county can go to any of these 3 meetings. We're just trying to make it convenient for folks.
I like that. South, Central,
South.
and North.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And so
I kind of hope they do the same thing with the rec center. Just to derail our conversation here. No, that is great, though, because you do have folks who don't want to travel, across the valley to attend one of these. So, and the more people that show up, the better.
Absolutely. Right? We really hope for a good turnout because people will be affected and are currently affected by our county government in ways that are usually a lot more immediate than even state government or federal government.
Yeah.
I mean, all levels have an effect on our lives, of course, but local government usually has the greatest effect from roads to traffic to water quality to public safety, law enforcement. All those things are much more immediate with local governments.
Yeah. Your daily life is more impacted by a county council vote or a city council vote than anything the president or even the state legislature can do. And I wish that we saw recognition of that show up in the turnout for these elections. But hopefully we see it show up in the turnout for these open houses. Again, for listeners, as Jack has told us, 3 open houses planned by the study committee on different forms of government and where Cache County should go. That is Thursday, September 25th, a week from today, 7 p.m., Hiram Council Chambers.
Right.
Thursday, October 16th, at 7 p.m. at the Logan City Council Chambers. And then finally, Thursday, October 23rd, at 7 p.m. at the Smithfield City Council Chambers. And Jack, so what are we choosing from here? I'm very familiar with these, but many listeners may not. Most people know there's a council mayor or a council executive because that's kind of what we have here, right? What are the other choices or other options?
That's a great question. I hope it piques an interest in your listeners so that when they come to this meeting, they can learn a little bit more about each form of government and start to form an educated opinion. So the 4 forms of government allowed by the state constitution for county governments. One is the 3-member county commission, which is those are full-time positions, and those 3 commission members act as both the legislative branch and the executive branch. They make the policies and carry them out both. They're usually full-time employees.
Sure.
There's an expanded commission form where you can have more than 3 members of a commission.
Up to 7, right? Is that
correct?
Am I understanding that correctly?
And they operate the same in that whatever the number of commissioners is, they are both the legislative and the executive branch in that county. The next one would be the elected county council with a hired county manager.
Okay.
The person would be hired by the county commission, by the county council, I'm sorry, not by the commission, by the county council, and is essentially an at-will employee of that council.
So similar to the way a lot of cities do it. They have the council and they hire a city manager.
Okay. And then the 4th is the form of government we currently have, which is the elected county council and the elected county executive, where the powers of government are divided. The council is the legislative branch, and the county executive is the executive branch, and puts into practice the policies made by that county council. And that's a form of government we have right now. And we're trying to be completely fair and open and objective about this. Through these surveys that we've conducted, there are common threads starting to emerge.
Really?
But we're not publicizing those because we don't want to bias anybody.
Yeah, that could...
We want to wait until our discovery process is finished and then identify common threads and make a recommendation.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, we
because
don't
the
want
first
to
thing I would
drag
do
it
is
out.
I would talk about it here on air the minute anything was published, and then everybody's heads would be filled with that first, and maybe biased by that. So yeah, I think that's smart to wait as you study.
Yep. And so at these public meetings, we'll go into a little more detail explaining how those 4 forms of government work, and then we'll simply open it up to the public for questions and comments.
That is very nice. And again, these open houses, 3 of them, will take place very soon. Thursday, September 25th in Hiram at the council chambers there in Hiram at 7 p.m. Thursday, October 16th in Logan at the council chambers, also 7 p.m. And Thursday, October 23rd in Smithfield at the council chambers, also at 7 p.m. These are open to anyone, so if you're in the south of the valley, you miss one in Hiram, you can only make the one in Smithfield, go. Because the goal here is to talk to everyone in the valley, as many people as possible at least, and get some feedback. The study committee will then take what they learn at these open houses and turn that back into their overall work. And it's been, what is out right now, Jack, has been fascinating. You and I talked about this. We were both surprised by the same thing. When Damon did his research on just the salary side of things, which form of government comes with the highest cost to taxpayers salary-wise. If someone had asked me, I would have said 3 county commissioners, because they've got to hire so much professional staff. And so obviously more expensive. But no, we found out it was basically a wash as far as salaries go.
I was surprised at that, too. And, of course, that isolates salaries. There are certainly a lot of other costs for a county government besides salaries for their employees. But, yeah, it seemed to be fairly even in the current forms of government that are in operation in the 29 counties in the state right now.
Again, that was a conversation with former Representative Jack Draxler, current co-chair of the Cache County Council-created Form of Government Committee. Jack also told us in this conversation that happened last week that they'd like to wrap this up by the end of the year. And again, these public meetings, these open houses, are a key part of their own research. So as you heard, the first is tonight in Hiram at the city offices there in Hiram. Right as the show ends, actually, that will start. So, and then they have one happening Central Logan and one happening in the northern part of the valley as well to accommodate everybody. But this is important. Be a part of this. It might not seem pressing because, got some time on this, but the way Cache County is governed in the future will dictate our success or failure, really, and maybe no changes necessary. Either way, take advantage of the open houses. Check out the committee via the website I've linked to as well from cachecounty.gov, and stick around. More of For the People after the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. A 30-year-old inmate at the Cache County Jail, Mataz Muhammad, is facing new felony charges after allegedly attempting to attack a correctional officer with a pair of wire strippers last month. Now, according to court records, Muhammad was charged on Monday in Logan's 1st District Court with aggravated assault by a prisoner, along with misdemeanor counts for interfering with a peace officer and possessing a weapon inside the jail. Now, the alleged attack occurred back on August 23rd. Muhammad, who was under lockdown restrictions limiting him to 1 hour outside his cell per day, was reportedly using his emergency intercom button to request to be let out after maintenance issues disrupted the block's rotation schedule. Now, according to charging documents, a deputy in the control room attempted to disable the intercom in Muhammad's cell, but accidentally hit the button that opened his door, releasing him from lockdown. Now, when Muhammad left his cell, he refused orders to return. A deputy began escorting him back, and investigators allege that during the escort, Muhammad reached into his waistband and retrieved a pair of wire strippers, attempting to turn toward the deputy before his movements were restricted. Now, a review of jail surveillance footage confirmed that a maintenance worker had dropped the wire strippers near Muhammad's cell door. Muhammad was seen on video retrieving the tool and hiding them in his waistband just prior to the incident, according to detectives. And Utah state officials and law enforcement are stressing the deadly consequences of unsecured loads and road debris after a wave of serious crashes. Now, recent incidents include an 18-year-old impaled by rebar, a fatal crash caused by a tire in the road, and also a 15-vehicle pileup after concrete spilled onto Interstate 15. Now, Utah Highway Patrol Trooper Mickey Tucker says that there's clearly a problem with people not securing their loads or people losing debris on the roadways, which is causing fatal crashes. Now, to combat the danger, State Representative Ken Ivory sponsored House Bill 53, which became law this year. Now, the measure created stiffer penalties for drivers, including upgrading infractions for unsecured loads into misdemeanors and increasing fines. Ivory said the next critical step is an education campaign to stress that securing loads saves lives. And a 9th grade student from Canyon View Junior High School died from a gunshot wound yesterday after having a loaded gun on a field trip in Utah County. Now, the incident occurred in South Fork Canyon near Provo Canyon. Officials with the Alpine School District confirmed that the student sustained an apparent self-inflicted wound. Now, he was transported by helicopter to a local hospital where he later died. Some students and staff members witnessed the incident. District officials confirmed that all other students were safe and said that counseling resources would be provided at the school for as long as needed. Well, we're going to continue to see a gorgeous afternoon as temperatures been in the low 80s today. Tonight will drop into the mid-40s, then be back into the low 80s for tomorrow. Same forecast coming for Saturday, but we'll start to see some more clouds start to show up, and then a possibility of some isolated showers and thunderstorms for Sunday and into Monday. And bringing you our weather here at the bottom of the hour is Triton Medical Supply and Transportation, a partner for all your medical needs, offering top-quality medical soft goods like incontinence supplies and oxygen needs. It's Triton Medical Supply and Transportation. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News headlines.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology for an appointment and let them show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. TikTok has cleared another hurdle to stave off a ban in the U.S. President Trump at the White House signing an executive order that would approve the sale of the China-based app to a group of U.S. investors. Congress issuing a ban last year due to national security concerns. Here's ABC's Selena Wang.
The White House says that they've approved this sale to happen, and the president saying that Chinese leader Xi Jinping is good with it, but the White House has said that it still needs to go through paperwork. It needs to go through regulatory reviews. As I mentioned, that algorithm, it needs to be signed off by Beijing for that to be exported or sold off.
After calling for the ouster of the former top prosecutor for the Eastern District of Virginia, President Trump's hand-picked replacement now expected to seek a grand jury indictment against former FBI Director James Comey in testimony to Congress in 2020. Volatile storms in the Northeast today, including a confirmed tornado in upstate New York. No major damage reported. This is ABC News.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Brooke with Adams Wealth Advisors. Stocks sustained moderate losses for the third day as multiple good economic data came out, which could dampen longer-term interest rate cuts outlooks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 174 points to end at 45,947. The Nasdaq posted a loss of 0.43% to 24,397, and the S&P 500 declined 0.5% to 6,605. The decline was broad-based, with only the energy sector posting gains, which is likely driven by another day's rise in oil and natural gas prices. We did have a few winners in the technology sector, such as Apple, Intel, and IBM, driven by their own company-specific events. Bonds also continued to cheapen, other than the 30-year bond, which ended the day mostly unchanged. The U.S. 5-year Treasury yield rose by 5 basis points to 3.77%, and the 10-year yield rose by 3 basis points to 4.17%. We had a wide range of economic data today showing underlying strengths. Jobless claims continued to decline and surprised to the downside. The last quarter GDP number was revised up to grow at a 3.8% annualized real rate, as consumer spending was stronger than previously estimated. Durable goods orders rose 2.9%, and durable goods orders outside of transportation rose by 0.4%. Existing home sales came out at 4 million. All previously mentioned metrics surprised to the upside. Currently, the market appears to be driven heavily by interest rate expectations, so the dynamics in the market are occasionally good news equals bad news. Tomorrow's PCE number will therefore be extra important, as inflation is one of the Federal Reserve's dual mandates, and the PCE is the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge of inflation.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
banks require good credit. So how does that work at Dollar Loan Center?
Look, a lot of people have a crappy credit score, Craig. So what? That's our specialty, and we look at the whole picture, not just a number. We love to say yes quickly because we know it's important to our borrowers.
Well, what if you were denied in the past?
I love that question. If you were denied in the past and are still looking for a loan, before you go somewhere else and pay way too much, give us another shot. Everyone's situation changes. You might have a cosigner, new job, or raise, who knows, but we sure would like a chance to help you out.
DLC lends up to $5,000 in minutes, and you can get your cash in person at one of our 70 locations, on our website, don'tbebroke.com, or even over the phone with one of our helpful, real staff members. You're gonna love Dollar Loan Center.
Licensed by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
We parents hear our kids say lots of things that can get us pretty worked up. Things like,
"Look, Ma, no hands."
and
Ouch, that hurts.
look, you'll never completely stop worrying about your kids. But you can breathe a little easier with free or low-cost health insurance through Medicaid and CHIP programs in your state. The truth is, they're covering more kids and teens than ever before. So even if you've applied in the past, even if you don't qualify, your kids can now be eligible for regular doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and more. So the next time you hear,
Ooh, I don't feel so good.
relax, your kids can be covered.
Get us kids covered today. Families of 4 earning up to $49,200 a year or more may qualify. Just go to insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. With me out of the studio today, we're taking an opportunity here on the show to revisit some highlights over the last several weeks here on the show. Conversations we had that have stuck with me or that are still of keen interest to our listeners and more. If you missed it, today's your chance. One that I don't think I'll ever forget was... just from a few weeks ago, we had a chance to talk with Tremonton Mayor Lyle Holmgren. This was after we'd been catching wind from listeners of how the community was stepping up to help the family left in the home where tragedy occurred in August of this year with the a domestic violence incident and subsequent calls to 911 turning into the murder of 2 officers with the Tremonton Garland Police Department and the wounding of a third with the County Sheriff's Department, Box Elder County Sheriff Department, and his canine partner also wounded. The ensuing weeks, we saw the procession come through Cache Valley. Everyone came out. It was so nice to see. We saw a lot of talk of, remembering that these men and women in law enforcement put their lives on the line for us. And then as things started to settle down a bit, after a couple of weeks have passed, we started hearing these stories of how the Tremonton Garland community was stepping up, including to help the family left in the home of the shooter, the alleged shooter. Just touching stories. So we reached out, and Tremonton Mayor Lyle Holmgren was nice enough to join us here on the show. And here's what he had to say about how the community was healing.
Our community is deeply saddened by this tragic and senseless act of violence, as you mentioned, that claimed the 2 Tremonton Garland police officers and wounded a Box Elder County Sheriff's deputy and a service dog, a canine service dog that Mike Allred, Deputy Allred had with him all the time. So these... For 2 years, right?
Yeah. If I understand that correctly, they'd built quite a working relationship together.
They built quite a... And that is, when we talk about canine service dogs, we talk about them in the same sense that we do officers and deputies. And we appreciate what the unique service that they can provide to to the deputies and help protect lives and all of that. So we are just, the community is heartbroken, and we are struggling, as you can imagine. That, this tragedy is really a stark reminder of the dangers faced by those who serve and protect us. And in this case, we're hoping that this doesn't divide us, but it sort of brings us together in strength. We want to be able to honor the sacrifice of Sergeant Sorensen and Officer Estrada and Deputy Allred and the K-9 Azula. We're really grateful for their service. We support their families. We want to stand behind them and help them, and we appreciate all the support and everything that's gone on.
And a lot of support as well. Something kind of amazing happened on the Saturday at the Box Elder County Fair, as I understand it.
Yes. So the Box Elder County Fair is a huge opportunity for 4-H and FFA youth to showcase their animals that they raise through the summer, and sometimes longer than that.
Sure.
But they brought these animals in, and then at the beginning of the auction, which was held on Saturday, the auction director, Chubb Munns, got up and he said, "Okay, we're going to allow for a half an hour for people to donate whatever they will to these officers and this sheriff's deputy and to their families." And so they started it off, and they allowed for a half an hour. It only took 20 minutes, my understanding is. And in that 20 minutes, they raised $287,000 in 20 minutes.
Wow. That is mind-blowing.
It's astounding. It was unbelievable. And it continued on from then. So there's still money going into that fund. And I think the last I heard, that is north of $300,000.
That is amazing.
So that was one event that took place, and then another one that happened over at the rodeo was they have what they call passing the boot around, and so they did this during the 4 nights of the rodeo, and my understanding is that we have somewhere north of $20,000 there that is contributed from the community.
That is fascinating, because at the rodeo, you're assuming this is just what people happen to have in their pockets that night.
Yeah.
And at $20,000.
Yeah, people would come and they would drop $100 bill in and that happened over and over and over again on those 4 nights. And so I don't know the exact number that they ended up with, but the last I heard was well north of $20,000. And so that was another amazing thing that happened. I've been really taken back by the generosity of the community here and the outpouring of love that has occurred. Sometimes we get into these situations where we start this and that's not right, and we need to fix this and we need to fix that. We can't have so many taxes, or whatever the case is. All of that seemed to go away, kind of melt into the background since this took place in the last week and a half.
It was inspiring to see, even during the procession that occurred, a week ago, to see thousands of people from the freeway overpasses in Davis County to thousands of people along the streets in Tremonton and Garland, and here in Logan from the 10th West intersection of 2nd North all the way up to the Allen Hall Funeral Home. Thousands of people out on the street and just there to say we acknowledge the weight of what has happened here.
That is so true. I had the privilege of being able to ride in the procession from Taylorsville, and every single overpass that we went past, every single overpass was packed with people, whether it's EMS, police, just people, Boy Scouts. It didn't matter, and every overpass was just packed with people. And along the freeways, people were just standing along and either saluting or holding their hands over their heart. This was far beyond what I could even comprehend. I never dreamed anything that there would be that kind of support, and it goes beyond just Tremonton and Garland. It goes beyond what occurred over in Logan. But I really believe this is something that is statewide, and
sure.
the outpouring has really been an outpouring from people all over the state. During the vigil we had the other night, I think it was Tuesday night, we were taking sheets of blue fabric and cutting it into strips so that people could take them around and put them on the trees and everything along the parade route, which was going to be on Wednesday. So this is just the night before. And we were working next to this lady who said that, I had to come and do this. She was from down around the Salt Lake area. She says, I had to come and do this because my husband was a victim. He was a police officer and he was killed.
Wow.
And I had to come and I had to be a part of this. And it was one of those things that we got together as a community, and we went out and we put up these ribbons around all of the trees and lined the trees, and people had an opportunity to listen to our police chief talk, and the whole thing was just one of those extraordinary experiences that my appreciation and my appreciation for the community has increased many fold.
Sure. To see the generosity and
the generosity,
everyone,
yes.
Doing. I mean, obviously, there's nothing any of us can do to really, take away what has happened to these families, to the surviving family members. But this has to, make them feel at least heard and recognized, to see an entire state come out and try to grieve with you as much as we can. It's so inspiring.
It is very inspiring, and I think as I think about we talk a lot about the officers and the sheriff's deputy, but there's also another part of this, and that's the innocent victims of the assailant, the family of the assailant, who really were the innocent victims. And what was really cool to see is to see the neighborhood sort of rally together, and they went in and they re-landscaped this home, and got donations from landscapers, from people, even Tremonton City. We even pitched in and helped remove some of the piles of dirt and everything that were just there, and they needed to be cleaned up. And they went in and they cleaned this up, and within a week, that place is, you wouldn't even recognize it now. But that's coming
nice.
That's a grassroots sort of a thing that the community just sort of got together and decided that, our kids go walk back and forth past this house, and we're going to fix the sidewalks. We're going to clean it up, and we're going to make it something that, is going to be better for the neighborhood and also for the community in general. But this is the kind of thing that's just happening from a grassroots standpoint, and it's just happening. Pockets of that are just happening all over the place, whether it's fixing a house up or whether it's coming up with all this money for the victims, or for the officers and sheriff's deputy, or just a myriad of things that have just been kind of happening spontaneously as we go along. And, it just kind of makes me think that, we're all going to feel this shock for a long, long time.
Sure.
The whole community will, and it'll be something that we'll never, ever forget. But it also, it's the resolve that has sort of generated from all of this. And, we're going to be a people that's going to, we're going to remember this.
Sure.
We're going to honor this with, as time goes on, we'll come up with the right way to honor these officers.
Sure.
And we're going to provide support for the families. This is something we're going to do, but we're also going to, and I think this is what's happening right before our eyes, is we're choosing light over darkness. We're going to make the best of this situation, and we're going to honor these families. We're going to honor the victims. We're going to move forward, and I pray that we'll be a better community as a result of it.
It's well said, and signs of that are already there. Again, as Mayor Holmgren, Tremonton City Mayor Lyle Holmgren has just told us, the auction in less than 20 minutes at the Box Elder County Fair ahead of the youth livestock auction, they opened it up for donations for the families of the fallen officers, Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada, and of course the third officer wounded alongside his canine service partner, Deputy Mike Allred and Azula. Opened that up, and more than $280,000 raised in 20 minutes. $20,000 raised at the Golden Spike Rodeo in one evening. Vigils, as service projects, fixing up the yard of the home where all this took place, and the innocent family members that were caught up in this as well, victims themselves. It really is, inspiring to see. And I promise not to take up your entire afternoon. I know you've got a meeting planned with family and victims this evening. In fact, to converse with them over what can be done. But last question here for you, Mayor Holmgren. For those out there listening who want to do something, where can they best be of use?
I think that, boy, that's a good question. I would suggest that you reach out to our community services director. His name is Zach Lefevre, and I can give you the phone number offline.
Sure.
I don't have it right in front of me right now, but I would suggest that you reach out to him or his department, and they will have, ideas and thoughts and everything for people who want to contribute, want to provide a service project. If you've got a group of scouts that want to do something, or youth, or whatever the case may be, we'll find something to get people involved. Because I think what we want here is to recognize and honor these lives, honor their service. And the best week, I heard this from the governor one time when he said, a lot of people thank people in uniform. They say, thank you for your service. And he said, well, how do we thank them for their service? And what he said, and he went on to say, we thank them for their service by serving.
Sure.
And I think that's really what we're looking at here. This is an opportunity for all of us to make our communities a better place for all of us. And I think part of that is through serving.
Absolutely. Again, that was a conversation we had recently with Tremonton Mayor Lyle Holmgren in light of the tragedy in August with lives taken of two officers of the Tremonton Garland Police Department and wounded sheriff's deputy from the Box Elder County Sheriff's Department, along with his canine partner, Azula, who was also wounded. This tragedy rocked all of Utah, and again, as kind of a moment of closure, we had a chance to speak with Mayor Holmgren about all of that. Again, really moving to hear the community had stepped up to help the family of the alleged shooter, and repairs to their lawn, which understandably was in quite a state after all the SWAT activity that night. And then the community coming together to fundraise and support each other in these ways. Just, I don't know, it's amazing. So, again, all of us took an opportunity, I think, to remember what members of law enforcement do as we watch this play out so close to home. These are often stories that are just headlines on cable news or in the national newspapers, but this one right in our own backyard. So we also had a chance on the same topic to speak recently with representatives of CAPSA, remembering that at the heart of all of this was a domestic violence incident. And we heard many times throughout all this that these domestic violence calls are the most dangerous calls that law enforcement get. These are the calls where they know their lives will likely be most at risk. Imagine that. Imagine having a job where that is something you go into work knowing. Well, with that in mind, we spoke with CAPSA about that, what we can all do in our communities to prevent domestic violence and what they're doing to educate. That and more coming up in hour 2 of today's show, right after this, here on KVNU Logan.
Breaking news and stimulating talk.
America is ours.
KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.